Hi there, I'm Carolyn, Trichologist at Absolique Hair Health Clinic. Today we want to talk to you about, does nutrition matter with male pattern hair loss in young men? Now, there's been a study to investigate what they call the association between sugar-sweetened beverages and the consumption of those and male pattern hair loss in young men. So what the study found is these people aged between 18 and 45 years old, that those who were consuming the sugar-sweetened beverages in higher levels, they were more, I guess, likely to report the male pattern hair loss. They also found that it was causing anxiety disorders, and they were emphasizing that the sugar-sweetened beverages consumption could have a potential negative effect on one's appearance. So they're hoping that that will bring in a new perspective as in nutrition and hair loss. So as a trichologist in clinic, I do see this all the time. So I wouldn't just pick on the sugar-sweetened beverages, that was the study and it proved the connection. But I look at overall health, that I have better results when I have clients who are otherwise healthy and also eating a healthy diet. So I just want to show you some pictures of someone who I helped a few years ago, and we had what we call a hair cycle problem. So we had a broken down of the hair cycle, but we also had the very typical male pattern thinning, and he was in his very, very early 20s. But when we investigated his diet and lifestyle, it was terrible. There was lots of stress involved, fast food, just really calories and looking for energy. So we went and did some nutrition and diet related lifestyle things, and we did some topical treatments as well to see the difference that we achieved in only 4 months, okay, when you're working on both diet and topical treatment. So we also want to make sure that you understand that male pattern baldness cannot be helped just with diet, because it can also be related to hormones. Okay, so male pattern thinning has a hormonal tendency these days. So we're talking about our own hormones, but also the hormones that are coming from your food. So we found that in the pictures I just showed you, that we had to clean the diet up and take the hormones out of the food. And the main culprits are the animal proteins. So we're talking about the beef. It must be grass-fed. The chicken should be hormone-free. Okay, the fish needs to be wild caught. The eggs should be organic. And if they're not those things, then they do contain hormones. And we're finding that they are disrupting the hormones in our bodies, and particularly I'm seeing it in this pattern hair loss in young men. So when you have that on top of this high sugar consumption diet, we're finding it is bringing on what we call early onset male pattern thinning. The other thing I'm seeing a lot of is low vitamin D. Okay, so vitamin D in the body does help our hormones as well as our cholesterol and for our immunity, but it has a very close connection of low vitamin D levels and this hormonal type of pattern hair thinning. Now, when we're helping people with vitamin D, raising their levels, we're going to turn to food again. So those sugary foods, sugary beverages and fast food, processed food are not going to help. A lot of the time they contain nutrient robbers, which is the glutens, the dairies and the sugars and things like that. So they're just always robbing you of nutrients. The other thing to consider here is male pattern baldness is caused by DHT. Okay, so it's not the DHT that is the problem, it's the dihydrotestosterone. It's what triggers it in your body. Okay, so we have hereditary factors, we talked about hormonal factors, the environmental factors, that can be the hormones in the food, but there's also endocrine disruptors in our personal care products. You need to learn about those, but this other thing called the free radical effect. Okay, so sometimes we need to protect you from the DHT as well. Now, I would pull out antioxidants here to combat the free radical effect. So again, if we have an otherwise healthy person who's eating a good diet, avoiding the hormones, eating real food, then you should be making your own antioxidants so we get a better protection. So it is also important to look at family history. If it is there, there's genetic factors, so we might need to fight a little bit harder, more than just diet. We might use supplementation and things like that as well. Okay, and the other thing to think about here is hair loss. And I had a client this morning who he was experiencing physical hair loss, but it also was showing this pattern of hair thinning. Now, pattern hair thinning, male pattern hair thinning, is not physical hair loss. So if you've got physical hair loss, then it's something else, okay, and it needs to be investigated. So I'm here to help you to get the best out of your own health and your hair. We may use some really basic topical treatments, which means when you wash your hair, we'll change what you do. Okay, these are all available online now, so give them a go. And if you find you're using a treatment, you know, that I've recommended and it's not working for you, it means the problem is a lot deeper, and you really need to dive into some trichology services where we look at your whole story, bloods and history and what have you, and really get right down to the bottom, because there's lots of simple things you can do to help with the male pattern hair loss. And once again, you know, this was, you know, a natural hair loss treatment that we achieved a difference in 4 months' time by working with diet and lifestyle. So read through the study. I'll pop the link there, and if you do want to ask me any questions or you would like my help, as always, you can email me. It's info@absolique.com.au.